It's number one Auburn, 21-2, 9-1 in the league, taking on Vanderbilt, and we get a chance to talk to the man, Stephen Pearl here.
The associate head coach of the Auburn Tigers joins us from Music City. What is up, Coach? How are you this morning?
Doing well, guys. How are you guys?
Doing well. Thanks a lot. I know Saturday was a tough day for you guys, but that's a dang good basketball team, and there's a lot of familiarity there. I don't know how that plays into something because it cuts both ways. You are familiar with Todd. He's familiar with you guys. But that is a thing in a game when you guys face one another, I would imagine.
I mean, not as much as you may think. I mean,
Okay.
they're obviously just a really good basketball team. 20-3 on the year, and that's a Final Four team. And obviously, you never want to drop games at home. But in those environments, it takes special to win games like that. And I thought they played one of their best games, if not their best game of the year. And that's what it takes to win in tough environments. I mean, their bench played really, really well. I think their bench came in and they made 5 threes, and all year they've made 11 total threes in SEC play. So half of their threes came in one game. So that's what it takes to win on the road. And credit to Todd and their staff. Like, they played like a desperate basketball team, a team that has 3 losses in SEC play, and they played like they had to come in and win that game, and our guys didn't. And we didn't do a good enough job as a staff of really telling our guys that, listen, they're going to come in here, fighting for their lives, and we got to continue to do the same if we're going to win these games. So, they did a really good job. They stepped up, made big shot after big shot. We didn't do a great job defensively of kind of doing the things that we needed to do that we felt like were going to be effective against Florida. And you go back and watch the film, and the times we did do them, it worked. But then the times where we just had mishaps and, we didn't do the things that we needed to do, whether it was impacting ball screens or, giving help off of certain players or not helping off of certain players, they burned us for it. And that's what really good teams will do.
Do you believe in, not a needed loss, but a good loss sometimes? You've won 14 straight. BP kind of brought it up last week. Hey, look, we're going to lose a game. We might lose games moving forward. He said he kind of felt this one coming. I mean, is there something you can take out of a loss and, recalibrate and get another winning streak going?
Yeah, I'm not of the mindset that like you need a loss to do anything. I hate that. That whole sentiment that drives me crazy. No, I think that's what losers say. I think we've learned just as much from winning games as obviously we're going to learn from losing to Florida. I think every game you have to take as if it's a must win. So I'm not of the mindset that I agree with BP. Like, yeah, we knew we were going to lose a game at some point. Like, the league is too damn good to not lose a game. Like, we're playing Vandy tonight. Vandy's beaten 2 top 10 teams in this gym. They're like 14-1 at home. Like, we could just as easily lose tonight. But it's like, I don't think you have to lose a game to be able to recalibrate and lock back in. You can learn just as much from winning games as you can from losing. Now, obviously, our guys are going to have to, lock back in and, refocus on a few things that, we learned from the Florida game as to why we got beat. And especially against the best teams on your schedule, you can get away with some of these mistakes, against teams that you're supposed to beat. But when you play against, a Final Four caliber team like Florida, or you play against a team on the road like Vandy, who's so good at home, or you play against teams like Tennessee or Alabama or Houston or Iowa State or Duke, you can't have those mistakes and expect to win those games. So I think every game is a great learning experience, win or loss, but no, I'm not of the mindset that you have to lose these games to learn from them.
I know, like, if Brown and if we go bowling or to Top Golf or something, we've been friends a long time. LT and I have been friends a long time. If we're gambling or anything, I hate losing to them more than I hate losing to anyone else. Todd Golden's very open about y'all's friendship. Is there any smack talking? Does he send dessert over to the table? He calls ahead to a restaurant he knows you're going to be at and said, hey, send over a cheesecake over to Stephen Pearl. And afterwards, is there any smack talking between you two?
No, there's no smack talk. It's all friendly banter. It's we saw each other after the game. He got to meet Laney for the first time. So, obviously I hate playing that game, but obviously I want to kick his ass as much as I want to beat anyone in our league. So, we have nothing but the utmost respect for Todd and their staff. They've done an unbelievable job elevating the program to where they're at right now. So, obviously, once the ball gets tipped, we obviously both want to win that game. But as soon as the game's over, it's back to cheering for them and trying to help them win games, and they're trying to do the same for us. So. No smack talk, but obviously I know that one meant a lot to him as it did, to us. And as happy as he is to win that game, we were just as pissed off that we weren't able to get it.
We were talking earlier, Stephen Pearl is with us from Nashville, the associate head coach of the Auburn Tigers, about one of the difficulties at playing where you will play tonight in the Mem Gym is the baseline bench. And to me, it seems like one of the biggest disadvantages of that is there's an awful lot of times that you're in Coach Pearl's ear, or Mike Burgermeister is in Coach Pearl's ear, or one of the assistants picks something up, and it seems like that's the biggest issue, right? If he's out,
night off for these guys tonight. They don't have to coach
you don't have to pay attention, right? I mean, it seems like that's the biggest issue, because if he's out in the coaching box near midcourt, y'all are 60 feet away from him.
Well, it's our players' favorite place to play because they can act like in the first half they don't hear a word we're saying, and they have a built-in excuse, and it's the coach's worst nightmare because it's like you said, like the first half it's really difficult because the guys are so far away. Second half it's not as big of an issue offensively because they're looking at us and they're facing our bench. And then defensively, you got to trust based on our principles how we guard things that they can do that, in the second half. But the first half, offensively, you got to simplify things a little bit because you can't have your point guard turning his back looking for a play call every possession. So you got to give them a more simplified package of plays in the first half that they can run, and then at a timeout you can run some of your special sets, and then. Defensively with the bench and, the guys in front of us in the first half, we can be a little more vocal, talking them through things. Within the second half, like I said, you got to kind of trust what they do. But it's such a unique environment. It's such a fun environment. I think we've won 4 out of 5 in here, but obviously this is a different Vanderbilt team, and they've beaten 2 top 10 teams already in the building. It's obviously going to be an elevated environment, and we've had pretty good turnout with our fans the last couple of years up here. So hopefully we can, have a good turnout of Auburn folks, and can help our guys out. But at the end of the day, our guys just got to execute, and we got to limit our turnovers because they average like 15 or 20 points a game, creating offense from their defense. So we got to take care of the ball, get shots up on the rim, go crash the offensive glass, and get some second shot opportunities, and understand their personnel, and they got guys that can really shoot it, and they got some really good playmakers, and we'll have our hands full tonight.
Well, and obviously there is a home court advantage. They're 12-1 in Nashville this year, but one of those, talking about personnel, Jalen Carey follows his coach over, and he seems like he has really started to break through. 3 of his last 4 games, double figures. What do you see from the 6'8" sophomore?
And he's 6'8", and he's so physical, and he's so aggressive, and when he's really playing well, like he can step out and bang a 3. He's 7 for 29 in the year, but I think he's made 5 of his 7 in conference play. So shooting 36% in conference play from 3. So he adds that dimension. He's a post player that can finish with his right hand in the post, but then on the perimeter, he's better driving it to his left, which is unique, and just speaks to his skill package. So. And then he's one of their best offensive rebounders. He can block shots. He does a little bit of everything. And I think in games where he scores double digits, they've only lost once this year, and that was at Florida. So that just speaks to how good Florida is. So, when he scores double digits, he's coming off a game where he just had 18 and 14, against Texas. So our bigs are going to have their hands full with him. So super talented player. And, he's one of 5 or 6 guys that are capable of kind of taking over on any given night.
For Miles Kelly, it seems like some of his biggest shooting nights have come on the road, away from Neville Arena. What does that say about his ability to shoot outside of the home gym? That's a rarity, that sometimes you can shoot better on the road than with a familiar background.
Yeah, I mean, Miles is just, I've said this before, and it doesn't get enough pub, but like Miles Kelly has sacrificed more to come to Auburn than any player on our roster. Just in terms of, his shots, his usage, the things that he was being asked to do at Georgia Tech last year. Obviously, it's in a dialed down role this season. and he's been so effective for us. And like you said, on the road, it brings the best out in him. He had 15 points at Ole Miss, 13 at LSU, 13 at Georgia, 14 at South Carolina, 18 at Texas. So like, he plays better on the road, and when the lights are shining the brightest, Miles really tends to show up, and he's a guy that really settles our offense down, on the road offensively, because he's just not scared of those moments. So it's really nice to have a guy like Miles that in these gyms, in these environments, isn't going to be afraid to step up to the plate and knock down a big shot. So have a ton of confidence in Miles, and he did such a great job. He played so hard for, the 35 minutes he played against Florida, scoring 22 points. I think that was his season high on the year since the Vermont game. So having guys like Miles on our team, he's been such a value add for us, such a great teammate, such a great kid, works his tail off. And like you said, in these road games, he just gives us a little bit of comfort knowing we have somebody that can come in and bang big shots in big spots.
Before you go, this will get labeled as a trap game, and the Alabama game in Austin tonight will get labeled as a trap game because of what awaits Saturday. Is that something you address? Do you know your team well enough you don't have to address it?
I mean, I don't think you have to address it, but I would just say, for our guys, it's like great teams have to bounce back after losses and win games like this. And if you guys don't win this game, then, then we may not be a great team. So it's really up to you guys on how we decide to respond. That's really all that's been talked about, because we have so much respect for what Vandy does and the wins that they've had this year, that if you were to look beyond this, you're just making a huge mistake. I think the only people on our staff that have even thought about Alabama are the coaches that have that scout. Like, the rest of us have been so dialed into Vanderbilt since the Florida game that that's all we can think about. Haven't even talked about it, stay off of social media, because obviously it's a warfare on there right now between our fan bases. But we just try and stay locked in, one game at a time. That's all we've talked about all year, is just the next game, trying to continue to improve game after game, practice after practice. And I think our guys have done a pretty good job with that in their prep leading up to the Vandy game.
Well, BP always talks about history, and we were trying to go back. We were shocked when the SEC released it yesterday. It'll be the first ever 1-versus-2 matchup in SEC men's basketball history on Saturday, regardless of what happens tonight. I mean, that's pretty crazy that that's going to happen in this state between the two state schools. You guys are always talking about history. Here we go. That's a historic day coming up.
Yeah, no doubt. And we can talk about that later this week. But tonight, so if you guys want to bring it back on, you can bring it back on. But all I'm thinking about is the Commodores tonight, and how we stop guys like, Jalen Carey, and how we stop guys like AJ Hoggard. And, they got so many talented players that I can't even think about that. Jason Edwards is the only thing I'm thinking about right now. And, just how we're going to guard Tyler Nickel and Devin McLaughlin. It's just, that's all it's on my mind, Dunaway, and that's all it's going to be on my mind. So,
one question too far. He went one question too far.
I was impressed that we'd made it this far without it, but Sneaky Jim slides it in there. I know.
I mean,
that's surprising.
I had couched a question to get him to talk about it in a way he could talk about it. You have to go one step too far. It's
you're making it sound like we're going to have to get the military to escort you in the Coleman Coliseum. It's just a basketball game. Come on.
You might have to. We'll see.
Hey, we were talking about the Memphis Tennessee game back when your dad was roaming the sidelines, Calipari, because we were talking about other in-state potential 1-versus-2. Do you remember what the rankings were in that matchup?
Yeah, I mean, it was 1-2.
Okay.
It was I think Game Day, somebody showed me something that Game Day put out the last time there was a 1-versus-2 matchup was the Tennessee Memphis game. So I was with a former teammate last night, Jordan Howell, who actually had the honors of guarding Derrick Rose, and he did a great job on him for 35 minutes. Then the last 5 minutes, D Rose had like 15 points. So we were talking about that at dinner last night. So I mean, obviously it's once we get to that point, we can talk about it, but it's, speaks a lot to what both programs have done and what the state of basketball is in the state of Alabama. It's incredible, and it should obviously be celebrated because, who knows when the next time this will ever happen, if it does happen again. So, both staffs and both programs have done a great job elevating the expectations of their programs to where we're at right now. And, if we can both handle our business tonight, obviously that sets up to probably the game of the year on Saturday.
All right. Stephen has agreed to come
That's
on.
as far as I'll go.
I know.
That's all I can give you.
That's it. But you did agree to come on Thursday or Friday, right, to talk about it. So that's all that matters.
Sure.
Okay. All right.
Fine.
I mean, honest to goodness, I feel like we're at the United Nations now. That was such a diplomatic comment.
No, he's good. Hey, good luck tonight against Vandy, and we look forward to seeing the game tonight. Always fun talking to you.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, thank you, Coach. That is Stephen Pearl with us, the associate head coach of the Auburn Tigers on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline.